from around the world and into your hearts. It's the Nicole and Tonya Show.
Hey guys, it's Nicole
and Tonya, and you're watching the Nicole and Tonya Show.
In this episode, we're talking and showing street art.
Yes, darling, we are talking about art, but not the Mona Lisa, Starry Night, or the Scream. We're talking free art, the art you walk by every single day in your city or town. And we're going around the world to do it. Kind of. Sort of. First stop, California.
The street art that inspires me the most is art and sculpture and architecture that's very heavily influenced by history and culture, and that tells a story about the cultures that lived in this area and the history. So I wanted to start with my hometown of Santa Ana, California. It has a very rich Mexican history and culture. Obviously, as it used to be part of Mexico, especially in downtown Santa Ana, they have an arts district. All of the artwork that you see on the walls, on the street meters, I don't really know what they're called, like they're telephone boxes or something to show you pictures. All the artwork is very heavily inspired and influenced by Mexican culture. It's really beautiful. And there's also, I can throw in a modern hipstery type political street art on the wall. Really fun. And then, and again, it's just, I really do enjoy this history and learning more about how Santa Ana came to be and what influences the town and the city and the architecture and the art, and how it, how it tells a story of the history and also how it's moving into the future. This isn't really street art, it's more of like a sidewalk art, but there's these glass tiles that you see on the sidewalk right here. It reminds me of in Seattle, I believe it is, in Washington, they have these underground sidewalk tours where you literally take tours underneath the streets of the city. And the sidewalks looked like this with the glass tiles. You can see up and the light streaming in, and so I'm curious. I don't know for sure. I have to find out, but it made me think that maybe there's something underground going on. I'm really interested. And now the next thing I want to talk about is from my alma mater, Chapman University, where I got my film production degree, my BFA in film production. So they have a piece of the Berlin Wall, and it sits in this very beautiful reflective pond. There's even this cement seat sculpture where you can basically kind of reflect and gaze on the past and then the future. And it's just, if you know anything about the Berlin Wall, I'm sure you do, but I don't want to go into a lot of it because I'm probably wrong with details, but I know that the wall came down in 1989. It was to divide East Berlin from West Berlin, and families were separated, friends were separated, and so the teardown really represented the future and bringing people back together. And so it was just very awesome to have that as part of our campus life. And something else that's newer that I really only got to enjoy in my last year of school is, I guess it's called like a sculpture garden. I'm not exactly really sure what it's called, but it has this beautiful water fountain. It's lit up at night. Sometimes there's music because it's also surrounded by an outdoor amphitheater and a library. And it basically represents the 4 pillars. And the 4 pillars of our school, which represent how to have a balanced and successful life. So the 4 pillars that each of these stones represent. So it's intellectual, physical, social, and spiritual. And so it's just a very beautiful reminder of what the school is all about and what the vision is to kind of be a balanced whole person in society. And so anyway, those are some of my favorite pieces of street art. Some of them are more like sculptures than actual street art, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I really am glad I got to share how important these pieces are to me, especially because they represent history and culture that we can learn and grow from.
And now on to the man with 1 billion frequent flyer miles.
Hello, I'm Deepu Bhattacharya from The Pantsless Detective, and I'm here again, this time to talk about street art. Just a couple of weeks ago, I went to the Miami Web Fest, and on my last day there, a group of us met Susan and Jeff from WebV Guide in the Wynwood neighborhood. Turns out, Wynwood is all about street art. So we spent some time after lunch just walking around and looking at all the amazing art. It was really an incredible area of town to walk around. You could spend an entire afternoon walking around here. The only thing limiting you basically would be the Miami Heat, and I'm not talking about basketball. We lasted about an hour before we had to head back in for AC. There were some amazing pieces of art, including some fairly recent stuff, as evidenced by the Suicide Squad wall based on the recent movie. Of course, it wouldn't be an art district without a peace sign, but my favorite of all had to be this monstrous shark on a red wall, because we just had a lot of fun posing in front of it. Over the summer, I attended the Windy Webfest Hamburg in Germany, and they had a lot of street art as well. Much of it was standard tagging that we're used to seeing, but they also had some pretty interesting art pieces, including, for some reason, a giant whale shark. Traveling even farther away from North America, in Jakarta, Indonesia, a lot of the graffiti there is in English. My favorite, though, has to be the War Pig. Unfortunately, the next time I visited Jakarta, War Pig was mostly gone. But I suppose that's a fate that awaits a lot of street art. For the Nicole and Tonya show, I'm Deepu Bhattacharya, apparently their global correspondent.
And finally, Toronto. My favorite piece of art in Toronto is actually really new. They added it to City Hall just last year for the Pan Am Games, and we all loved it so much they decided to keep it. Pure and simple, it's just a Toronto sign that lights up. That's right, it just lights up, and something that is so simple that we all wondered why there wasn't a cool, ready-made selfie attraction in the middle of downtown Toronto before. From neighborhood murals to sculptures to music gardens, Toronto has a ton of free art that you can see, but the premier free art event happens just once a year. Nuit Blanche is a French saying, which means a sleepless night. And yes, that is not a direct translation. Basically, it's a once-a-year, all-night, free citywide art show. And this year had some awesome installations, like Death of the Sun, Fallen Water Niagara Escarpment, and Ocean.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. Tune in next week when it's Halloween. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Tune in next week where we talk zombies. Mona. I'm Mona. Mona Lisa. We're not talking about the Mona Lisa. Okay. That's gonna be fun for bloopers. Okay. Mona? Mona. It's Mona. Why am I saying Mona? You're so old that doesn't even help me. Okay. Mona.